The Art of Strategic Thinking. Master any challenge, achieve success. Complete Guide. Introduction. Why strategic thinking is your ultimate advantage. Let me pose a straightforward question. When life presents you with an unexpected challenge, do you simply react or do you respond with calculated thought? In our fast-paced world that constantly demands immediate responses and quick actions, how frequently do you stop and consider, what's the most intelligent approach I can take at this moment? That moment of pause, that deliberate instant of conscious reflection, is where true power originates. It's the distinction between average individuals and exceptional ones. It's where you cease playing simple games and begin mastering complex strategies. This is the essence of strategic thinking, and it represents your ultimate competitive advantage. The critical moment that transforms everything. The majority of people operate automatically. They wake up, check their devices, react to daily events, handle emails, complete tasks, and struggle to find breathing room between activities. When challenges emerge, they respond with haste rather than insight. Emotions control their decisions. Panic, irritation, anxiety guide choice after choice. But strategic minds operate differently. They pause. They observe carefully. They develop plans. They don't merely consider current circumstances. They contemplate consequences several steps ahead. They pose questions such as, what's the ultimate objective here? How does this connect to the broader context? What are the cascading effects of this decision? This approach explains why certain individuals navigate turbulence with composure, adapt under stress, and generate extraordinary outcomes while others constantly address urgent problems. Strategic thinking isn't exclusive to military commanders, business executives, or political strategists. It's available to you right now. Regardless of your background, position, or aspirations, you can access this capability. You simply need to master its application. Understanding strategic thinking's true nature. Let's clarify something important. Strategic thinking doesn't involve manipulation, rigidity, or coldness. It's not about endless scheming or consistently outsmarting everyone around you. It's not some exclusive ability reserved for corporate boardrooms and command centers. Strategic thinking represents an approach to handling problems and opportunities with insight, foresight, and intelligence. It involves being purposeful rather than reactive. It means considering before acting, selecting your battles wisely, and anticipating outcomes. It's about recognizing patterns, comprehending systems, and knowing which mechanisms to activate for maximum impact. It's also deeply individual. Strategic thinking can guide you in responding when your partner feels upset. It can navigate career transitions, challenging conversations, parenting decisions, business obstacles, and financial uncertainty. It provides control where others experience chaos. It offers choices where others feel trapped. Consider it your internal navigation system. You establish your destination, evaluate your starting point, examine possible routes, avoid obstacles, and then proceed with calm confidence. Why strategic thinking matters. More than ever, we exist in an era of information excess and constant distraction. While the world's pace accelerates, strategic thinking teaches you to decelerate your mind even when everything around you speeds up. It's the difference between being overwhelmed by a storm and learning to navigate it like an experienced captain. Strategic thinking enables you to make superior decisions more rapidly, reduce stress and emotional reactivity, clarify your objectives and priorities, gain advantages in work, relationships, and daily life. Build confidence through clarity. Consider this example. Two individuals unexpectedly lose their employment. Person A panics, sends countless resumes, accepts the first available position, and spends the following year feeling trapped, underpaid, and exhausted. Why? Because they reacted. Person B, however, takes time to process the initial shock, then steps back to think strategically. They evaluate their finances, consider long-term objectives, contact mentors, and only pursue positions aligned with their values and abilities. Within months, they secure a role that not only pays better, but also ignites their passion. Same situation, vastly different results. The difference One person reacted, the others strategized. Chapter 1. The Strategic Mindset. Learning to think before reacting. Let's start with a fundamental truth most people miss. Your greatest strength isn't your knowledge, abilities, or experience. Your greatest strength is your capacity to choose your thought process. Ultimately, it's not the most intelligent, fastest, or strongest individuals who succeed. It's those who can pause, assess, and think clearly under pressure. That's the core of a strategic mindset. What strategic thinking actually involves. When people encounter the term strategy, they often envision military leaders studying maps, business moguls calculating profits, or chess champions planning their moves. While these are examples, strategic thinking extends far beyond high-pressure command centers or executive meetings. Strategic thinking is a mindset, an approach to handling decisions, challenges, and opportunities with intention and perspective. It involves asking yourself, what result do I want? What's the most intelligent path to achieve it? What potential obstacles exist? How can I prepare for them? What resources do I have and how can I use them effectively? Strategic thinkers don't act simply because something seems urgent. They act when it makes logical sense. They consider possibilities, think in terms of consequences, and focus on positioning themselves for success. Not just immediately, but long-term. Here's how it differs in practice. A reactive mind says, I'm angry, so I'll speak out immediately. A strategic mind says, I'm angry, so I'll compose myself and determine how to address this in a way that actually resolves the issue. A reactive mind panics when problems arise. A strategic mind steps back, reassesses, and seeks alternatives. A reactive mind seeks quick solutions. A strategic mind pursues lasting results. This isn't about being slow or hesitant. It's about being deliberate. It's about controlling your response instead of being controlled by emotions, pressure, or fear. Why most people react instead of think. Let's be honest. Reacting feels natural and easy. You get triggered and respond immediately. Something surprises you and you instantly do or say something. That's our natural wiring. Fight or flight, survival instincts, immediate reactions. But we're no longer living in wilderness environments. We inhabit a world where most challenges require thoughtful consideration, not instinct. That's where many people struggle. They send hasty emails, make spontaneous purchases, lash out in relationships, abandon things prematurely, or persist too long because they're trapped in reaction mode. It's not entirely their fault. Society celebrates speed. Move quickly, act now, don't think, just do. But consider this. You don't need more speed. You need better direction. That's what strategic thinking provides. Direction. Strategic thinkers pause. They reflect. They train themselves to think before acting, plan before speaking, and see consequences before they unfold. That pause, that simple pause, is where your power resides. Replacing emotional reactions with composed analysis. Let's discuss emotions because we all experience them. And let's be clear, emotions aren't enemies. They're indicators. They provide valuable information about your feelings, but they're not always the best decision makers. Imagine driving when someone cuts you off. Your heart races. You want to honk, shout, or speed up. But if you pause briefly and think strategically, you realize this moment doesn't deserve your energy. Now apply this to larger moments. An argument with someone you love, a workplace setback, a financial crisis, a health concern. Your initial emotional reaction might be fear, anger, or despair. But if you've trained your mind, you can acknowledge those feelings without being controlled by them. Here's a practical technique. The 3-second rule. Before responding, pause for 3 seconds and ask, what outcome do I want? Is this reaction helping or hindering that outcome? What would a strategic version of myself do next? These 3 seconds can preserve relationships, conserve your energy, and completely alter a situation's trajectory. The objective isn't suppressing your emotions, it's managing them wisely. Think of emotions like weather. You can't control the storm, but you can choose how to dress for it, how to move through it, and whether to run blindly or walk with purpose. Composed analysis means stepping outside the storm and asking, what's actually happening here? What are my options? This simple shift from emotion to evaluation transforms chaos into clarity. Chapter 2. Clarity is power. Defining your ultimate goal. Let me ask you a question that sounds simple but reveals everything. What do you truly want? Most people can't answer this with real precision. They'll say things like, I want to succeed, I want happiness, or I want more money. But that's vague. It's not strategy, it's wishful thinking. Strategic thinking starts with clarity, because if you don't know exactly what you're targeting, you can't construct an intelligent plan to reach it. And if you lack a clear destination, every deviation starts resembling an opportunity. Here's the truth. Clarity is your greatest advantage. Why unclear goals? Create genuine problems. Imagine entering your car and driving without a destination. You could waste fuel for hours, drive in circles, become lost, or worse, end up nowhere. That's precisely how most people live their lives. They wake up and react to whatever seems urgent. They pursue random opportunities. They imitate what others do, but they never pause to ask, is this actually bringing me closer to what I truly desire? Without clarity, you accept distractions. You waste time on goals that aren't yours. You mistake activity for progress. That's the hidden danger of being busy. You can stay in motion without moving forward. But clarity resolves this. When you know your ultimate goal, every decision becomes simpler. You stop reacting and start aligning. You stop second-guessing and start moving with purpose. Step 1. Understanding your authentic goals. So let's begin here. What is your authentic goal? Not what your parents wanted, not what society prescribed, not what sounds impressive or trendy. What do you want? To answer this, go deeper than surface-level responses. Here are some guiding questions. What does success look like through my eyes, not anyone else's? What kind of lifestyle do I want to experience? What impact do I want to have on others? What do I want to be remembered for? When I look back 10 years from now, what will I regret not pursuing? You're not just chasing a career, relationship, or title. You're chasing a feeling, a life, a legacy. The more specific you become, the more powerful your vision grows. Specificity drives strategy. Instead of saying, I want to succeed, say, I want to build a business that provides freedom and helps people. I want to be debt-free and invest $100,000 by age 40. I want to work 4 days weekly and spend Fridays with my family. That's genuine clarity, and genuine clarity leads to genuine action. Step 2. Reverse engineering success. Once you've defined your goal, don't just admire it, reverse engineer it. Strategic thinkers don't just dream forward, they plan backward. They examine the end result and ask, what would need to happen for this to become reality? Let's say your ultimate goal is becoming a published author. Start by imagining the moment you're holding your book. Now ask, what's the step immediately before this? Perhaps it's securing a publishing deal. Before that, completing your manuscript. Before that, writing the chapters. Before that, outlining your book. Before that, dedicating time weekly to write. Suddenly your goal isn't just fantasy, it's a series of clear, manageable steps. This is called reverse engineering, and it's the fastest way to transform a dream into strategy. Here's another example. Say your goal is financial independence within 10 years. Ask yourself, what does financial independence mean to me? How much money? What kind of lifestyle? How much do I need to earn, save, and invest annually? What skills or opportunities would make this possible? What can I start doing this month to move in that direction? You break the large goal into small, trackable milestones. Those milestones become your roadmap. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they don't know these steps. Strategic thinkers map the steps in reverse. Chapter 3. Information is ammunition. Learn before you move. Imagine walking onto a battlefield. You can't see the terrain. You don't know where enemies hide. You have no idea what weapons are available. Would you charge forward? Absolutely not. Yet that's how most people approach life, business, relationships, even their health. They act without insight. They move before learning. They confuse movement with mastery. But you're learning to think strategically. And one of the fundamental rules of strategic thinking is this: information is ammunition. Learn before you move. If clarity is power, then information is precision. It allows you to see clearly, aim accurately, and execute with confidence. It gives you an advantage most people never have because most people don't take time to learn before they act. The wise strategist gathers. Before they go, every master of strategy, from ancient generals to modern CEOs, shares a common belief. Knowledge is power, but only if it's the right knowledge. The goal isn't knowing everything. It's knowing enough of the right things to make an intelligent move. Let's say you're launching a business. What information do you actually need? Who are your customers? What do they currently buy? What do they complain about? What's missing in the market? What are your competitors doing and, more importantly, not doing? You don't need an MBA to gather this. You just need curiosity and discipline. Here's the shift. Stop guessing. Start discovering. Make research part of your strategy. Not as Adelaide tactic, but as your foundation. The best strategic moves appear effortless, but behind them is always one thing: insight. How to gather relevant, timely information. Let's make this practical. There are 3 filters to apply to your research: relevance, timeliness, and credibility. Relevance. Does this information actually help me make a decision or solve a problem I have right now? Avoid going down rabbit holes just to feel smart. Timeliness. Is this recent? The world changes rapidly. Don't base your strategy on outdated advice. Credibility. Who is providing this information? Are they proven, experienced, or just loud? Remember, the internet is full of noise. Your job is finding the signal. Once you have a few trustworthy sources, go wide first, then go deep. Let's say you want to improve your personal finances. Don't just buy the first course or follow a random influencer. Read foundational books. Compare perspectives. Look at data. Talk to people who've accomplished what you want to do. And here's the key: don't stop at surface-level facts. Ask yourself, what's the implication of this? What's the context? How does this apply to my specific situation? Strategic thinkers never stop at what happened. They ask why it happened and what they can learn from it. Avoiding the trap of overthinking or under-preparing. Now let's discuss the danger zones: paralysis by analysis and reckless execution. Strategic thinking is about balance. Some people research endlessly. They gather more and more information hoping for the perfect answer. But perfection is a myth. You'll never feel 100% ready. Other people act impulsively. They don't plan. They don't check. They just move and crash. Both extremes are dangerous. Here's a better approach. 2, 3, 4. Learn just enough to understand the landscape. Identify your knowledge gaps. Fill the most important ones. Move forward with a strong but flexible plan. Think of it this way. Don't build a house without a blueprint. But also, don't keep redrawing the blueprint forever. Your goal is not perfect information. Your goal is sufficient strategic intelligence. Ask yourself, what do I need to know to make a confident decision? What's the minimum viable knowledge to act wisely? If you hit that point, go. Refine as you move. Chapter 4. Seeing the board. Mastering the big picture. Picture this: 2 people playing chess. One focuses on their next move. The other watches the entire board, several moves ahead, thinking not just about pieces but about patterns. Who do you think wins? It's the one who sees the big picture. In life, business, relationships, and decision-making, it's never just about what's directly in front of you. The most powerful strategists, those who lead, adapt, and outperform, don't just react to what's happening. They see the board. They know how pieces fit together. They understand patterns. They anticipate what's coming next. That's what this chapter covers. Big picture thinking. Because in a world full of noise and distractions, the ability to zoom out and see clearly is a superpower. Systems thinking, strategy at the macro level. At the heart of big picture thinking is a concept called systems thinking. What is it? Systems thinking is the ability to see how parts connect to the whole. Instead of viewing problems in isolation, you recognize patterns, interdependencies, and hidden causes. Let's make it real. Imagine you're a manager, and your team's productivity is dropping. Most people would just look at the individuals, work harder, fix your habits. But a systems thinker asks, has the workload changed? Are the tools outdated? Is communication breaking down? Is something upstream causing a downstream effect? They zoom out to identify root causes, not just symptoms. That's strategic thinking in action. Every challenge is part of a system. Once you understand the system, you can influence it. You can redesign it. You can outsmart it. Connecting dots. Where others see chaos, strategic thinkers have a special ability. They connect dots that others miss. They see connections across industries, disciplines, and even time. While most people are stuck in their lane, strategists are scanning the horizon. They look for trends, tipping points, ripple effects, relationships between forces. This ability to think in networks is rare and powerful. Take any successful entrepreneur. They connect dots between energy, transportation, technology, and human behavior. That's not accidental. That's perspective. You don't need to be a billionaire to do this. You just need to practice zooming out and asking bigger questions. How does this fit into the larger picture? What are the second and third order consequences? Who else is affected by this decision? What pattern is emerging here? Big picture thinkers don't just see what is, they see what could be. Pattern recognition, the strategist's super skill. Now let's go deeper. Big picture thinking trains your brain to recognize patterns. And patterns are the strategist's greatest weapon. Why? Because human behavior, market behavior, and even personal growth all follow patterns. Once you recognize a pattern, you can predict outcomes, avoid repeating mistakes, identify leverage points. Let's say you notice a pattern in your own decision-making. You rush when under pressure. That's a strategic insight. Now you can plan for it, slow down, and create protocols that protect you. Or maybe you see that every time your team launches a new product without customer feedback, it flops. That's a pattern. Now you adjust your process. Great strategists don't just work harder. They work smarter because they learn from patterns. Here's a question to ask regularly. What's really going on here beneath the surface? The more you look for patterns, the more they'll appear. And the more you act on them, the more strategic your moves become. Final thoughts. See further, play smarter. Let's bring it all together. Big picture thinking isn't a skill reserved for CEOs or generals. It's available to anyone who trains their mind to think wider, deeper, and longer. So here's your takeaway. Start asking bigger questions. Look for connections, patterns, and power dynamics. Map the players, see the pieces, and anticipate the plays. When everyone else is focused on the next move, you'll be building the next 10. That's not luck. That's vision. And the ability to see the board. That's how you outsmart any challenge before it even arrives. Chapter 5. Foresight. The secret to overcoming obstacles. There exists a pivotal moment in every competition, every bargaining session, every test when the person who looks forward silently gains the upper hand. No theatrics, no abrupt actions, just composed reasoning. They've already foreseen what's approaching. They've already worked through it. While others respond, they're implementing. That's the strength of foresight. Strategic minds don't await the surge to strike. They observe the current and place themselves before the tempest. They don't merely ready for what's probable, they ready for what's conceivable. And that's what we're going to examine. This section serves as your call to begin considering 2, 3, even 10 moves forward. Not through worry or stress, but through understanding and assurance. Let's dissect it. The skill of considering multiple moves forward. Let's revisit our chess game. What distinguishes the novice from the expert? It's not rote learning. It's foresight. The expert understands that every action alters the structure of what's to come. So they don't merely wonder, what do I wish to do next? They wonder, what will this set of? How will the opponent reply? Where will this lead 5 actions from now? In existence, this might appear as launching a supplementary venture, knowing it'll create future liberty. Declining an opening because it leads to the incorrect type of agreement. Putting resources into a connection, knowing the confidence developed now compensates later. It's not sorcery, it's vision. And vision is an ability. You develop it by stepping beyond the present and wondering, if I choose this route, what's likely to occur next? Then repeat it continuously. Trace the sequence forward. The more you practice this, the more instinctive it becomes. You'll start to notice future results forming like silhouettes before they materialize. Planning scenarios. Ready for various futures. Life isn't straightforward. It delivers surprises, detours, and shocks. That's why excellent strategists don't merely plan, they plan scenarios. Rather than gambling everything on one result, they ready for various possibilities. This doesn't mean being paranoid. It means being positioned. Here's how to consider scenarios. The probable scenario. What is the most likely result? This is your foundation plan. The optimal scenario. If things proceed better than anticipated, what's your approach? How do you expand, double down, or catch the wave? The worst scenario. If things go badly, how do you shield yourself? What's your exit approach or harm control? The unexpected factor. What if something entirely unforeseen occurs? New rivalry, sudden opening, personal shift. How do you remain flexible? This method is employed by elite business leaders, military commanders, and even space travelers. And it functions just as effectively for daily existence. Planning a career change? Map the best and worst results. Introducing a product? Consider delays, demand, and crisis recovery. Beginning a relationship? Think forward to values, aims, and conflict points. The objective isn't to forecast the future. It's to be ready regardless of which future appears. Emergency 4635 thinking. Your concealed protection. Closely connected to scenario planning is emergency thinking. This is your backup plan approach. The capacity to say if plan A doesn't work, I have B, C, and D ready. Why is this effective? Because it eliminates fear. It creates confidence. It keeps you advancing, calm and concentrated even when things don't proceed as planned. Consider emergency thinking like mental protection. You hope you never need it, but knowing it exists allows you to act courageously. Ask yourself, what's my next action if this fails? How can I change direction without losing speed? What minor modifications can transform obstacles into opportunities? Emergency thinking also makes you resilient because now, barriers aren't defeats. They're alternative paths. You stop dreading uncertainty and start welcoming it. You're not surprised. You're prepared. Understanding people. Predicting behavior before it occurs. Let's move from systems and scenarios to people. Because when you can predict human conduct, you become an unstoppable strategist. Every choice, every bargaining session, every teamwork involves people. And people, despite their distinctiveness, follow foreseeable patterns if you know what to seek. Here's how to read people like a strategist. Study drives. Ask. What does this person truly desire? Is it respect, security, power, freedom, recognition? Observe patterns. How do they act under stress? How do they manage conflict? What have they done in similar circumstances before? Listen beneath the surface. What's not being expressed? What feelings or concerns are influencing their tone, silence, or excitement? Predict responses. If you challenge them, will they become defensive? If you compliment them, will they become receptive? If you suggest change, will they resist or adjust? When you learn to read people this way, your strategic options increase. You can guide more successfully. You can negotiate precisely. You can resolve conflict before it erupts. And perhaps most significantly, you can create trust by showing others you comprehend them. Because ultimately, people don't want to be controlled. They want to be understood. And the better you understand them, the better you can predict their actions and collaborate with them, not against them. Training your mind to predict. Now let's discuss habits. How do you make foresight instinctive? Here are 5 effective practices. Pause before you choose. Before any major decision, ask, what are the next 3 likely outcomes of this action? Create space between impulse and action. Practice mental simulations. Visualize possible scenarios, good, bad, and unusual. Ask, how would I respond? This develops mental flexibility. Apply the 10-10 rule. How will this choice affect me in 10 minutes, 10 months, 10 years? It broadens your time perspective. Keep a what-if journal. Regularly note down, what if X occurs? How would I respond? Think of it as emergency training. Review decisions. After key moments, reflect. What did I expect? What actually occurred? What did I overlook? This transforms experience into wisdom. Every time you predict successfully, even in minor matters, you strengthen your advantage. You develop mental reflexes that will help you when the stakes are elevated. Final thoughts, from response to prediction. Foresight isn't about living in dread of the unknown. It's about becoming a master of it. It's the transformation from responding to forecasting, from surviving to strategizing, from uncertainty to clarity. And here's the best part. You don't have to see the complete future. You just need to see further than the average person. Because when you consider several moves ahead, when you plan for multiple results, when you read people with clarity, you stop being a piece in the game and you become the one moving the pieces. That's the strength of foresight, and it's yours now. Chapter 6. Timing as strategy. When to act and when to pause. There's a maxim among experienced strategists. The correct action at the incorrect time is still the incorrect action. Power, insight, even bold vision. None of it matters if your timing is wrong. If you act too early, you waste energy. If you delay too long, you miss opportunity. But if you strike at the perfect moment, suddenly the world opens up. That's what this section is entirely about. Not just knowing what to do, but knowing when to do it. Timing is strategy. It's the quiet force behind every major breakthrough, every decisive victory, every brilliant decision that appears effortless in hindsight. Let's explore why patience is the ultimate strategic tool. Let's begin with a difficult truth. Most people fail not because they lack ideas, ambition, or talent, but because they act too quickly. They chase the immediate victory. They act on impulse. They push when they should pause. Why? Because patience feels like weakness. It feels like doing nothing. But in reality, patience is power in disguise. True strategic patience is active. It means waiting with awareness, preparing while others panic, observing when others rush. Consider nature. The eagle doesn't flutter around. It soars, waits, watches, and then dives. The archer doesn't shoot immediately. They draw, aim, breathe, then release. A seasoned negotiator doesn't speak first. They listen, analyze, and respond with precision. This kind of waiting isn't passive, it's precise. It's understanding the difference between motion and progress. And most importantly, it's comprehending that the goal isn't to act fast, it's to act correctly. Recognizing high-leverage moments. So how do you know when it's the right time to act? Welcome to the concept of leverage points, moments where small actions create massive results. High-leverage moments are the sweet spot of strategy. The one conversation that changes an entire deal. The one adjustment that transforms a failing project. the one message sent at precisely the right hour. But these moments are easy to miss unless you're watching for them. Here's how to identify them. Watch for tension peaks. Often the best time to act is when tension is highest, when your action can bring clarity, resolution, or release. In negotiation, this is when silence has stretched and the other side is leaning in. Time the market, not the mood. Whether it's business, relationships, or career decisions, align your moves with external readiness, not internal impatience. Feelings lie, patterns don't. Monitor signals, not just noise. Look for signs beneath the surface. Shifts in behavior, timing, readiness, or power. Often opportunity whispers before it knocks. Leverage the readiness window. Timing isn't just about your readiness. It's about the world's readiness. Don't launch too early. Build anticipation. Don't wait too long. Ride the momentum. Think of it like surfing. You don't control the waves, but if you learn to read them, you know exactly when to paddle, when to rise, and when to ride. Avoiding impulse decisions. Let's talk about the enemy of great timing. Impulsiveness. We've all been there. You feel a spark, a surge, a burst of inspiration, and before you know it, you've hit send, made the call, pulled the trigger. Sometimes it works. Most times it doesn't, because impulsive decisions are reactive. They feel urgent, but often lack context. And in strategy, context is everything. Here's how to avoid impulse decisions without losing your edge. Build in a delay rule. For any big decision, pause for 24 hours. This one habit alone can save you thousands in regret. Ask the 5-year question. Will this matter in 5 years? This reframes temporary emotion into long-term thinking. Check your triggers. Recognize what throws off your timing. Fear, ego, boredom, urgency. Once you spot the trigger, you can stop the spiral. Consult a neutral voice. A trusted friend or mentor can be your mirror. If they're not emotionally involved, they'll see the timing gaps you might miss. Shift from reaction to response. Reacting is instant. Responding is intentional. Always aim for the latter. Remember, strategy is about stacking the odds in your favor, not gambling on adrenaline. Escaping analysis paralysis. Now let's swing to the opposite extreme. Overthinking. Some people wait too long. They analyze every angle, run every scenario, and imagine every failure. They don't miss the train because they were late. They miss it because they never boarded. That's analysis paralysis. Here's how to move through it without losing strategic precision. Set a decision deadline. Give yourself a realistic but firm timeline to decide. Clarity loves a clock. Define enough information. Strategic thinkers know when they've gathered enough intel to move. You don't need all the facts, just the right ones. Use the 70% rule. If you're 70% confident, move. Waiting for 100% certainty leads to missed windows. Even Jeff Bezos uses this model to act decisively. Trust the process, not just the outcome. Sometimes you can't guarantee the result. But if your thinking is clear, your timing is usually close. Remember, perfection is the enemy of progress. Many high performers wait for the perfect plan, but perfect is a myth. Momentum matters more than mastery. You can always adjust mid-course, but you can't steer a parked car. The strategic sweet spot, balancing speed and stillness. So how do you balance it all? Here's the truth. Strategy is a dance between patience and precision. You need to wait long enough to see the full picture, but act fast enough to seize your moment. It's the art of being ready and patient, so when your moment arrives, you don't hesitate. You move with confidence, with power, with clarity. Here's what that looks like. A founder who doesn't rush to launch but doesn't miss their market window. A job seeker who waits for alignment, not just availability. A creative who doesn't publish before the work is great but doesn't over-edit. This is the sweet spot of strategic timing, and when you master it, you stop chasing life and start meeting it exactly where it's most powerful. Final thoughts. Time is not your enemy. It's your weapon. Timing isn't just a detail of strategy. It's the heartbeat of it. Move too soon and you fail. Move too late and you miss. but move just right, and the world bends in your favor. So here's your new mindset. I don't need to rush. I don't need to wait. I need to read Themament and then move with precision. Whether it's a business deal, a big life change, or a simple daily decision, the more you trust in timing, the more powerful your presence becomes. Because in the end, great strategists don't force the game. They feel the rhythm, and then they make their move. Chapter 7. Leverage. How to win with less effort. There's a secret behind every outsized success story. It's not always about hustle. It's not about working 18-hour days, grinding through burnout, or carrying the whole weight on your shoulders. It's about leverage. Leverage means using a small input to create a massive output. Think of it like this. A single person can't lift a car, but give them a hydraulic jack, a tool that multiplies their strength, and suddenly what was impossible becomes effortless. That's leverage, and it's available to you right now. You don't need superpowers. You just need to think like a strategist. In this chapter, we'll explore how to spot your hidden leverage points, work smarter, not just harder, and use people, tools, and systems to multiply your power. Ready to stop pushing harder and start pulling smarter? Let's begin. What leverage really means. Leverage is one of those words people toss around without really defining. In strategic thinking, leverage is this: using minimal effort, resources, or time to generate maximum impact. It's about creating a force multiplier, a way to make one action produce exponential results. Here are a few real-world examples. A single social media post that brings in thousands of customers. An automation that saves you 5 hours a week. A connection that opens doors to new partnerships or opportunities. A decision that removes 10 daily problems at once. The best strategists aren't just asking, what do I need to do? They're asking, how can I make this easier, smarter, and more effective? That mindset changes everything. Step 1. Identifying your leverage points. The first move is simple but powerful. Spot where your leverage lives. Look at your goals. Now ask, where am I putting in 80% effort for 20% result? Where am I getting 80% of my results from only 20% of my actions? This is the famous 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. It tells us most of our results come from a small number of our inputs. The trick is to double down on the few things that matter most. Here are 4 common leverage points to examine in your own life. Time leverage. What tasks can you automate, delegate, or eliminate? Skill leverage. What unique skill gives you the biggest return? Are you maximizing it? Network leverage. Who do you know that already has access, answers, or influence? Platform leverage. Are you building assets like content, tools, or reputation that work while you sleep? The goal isn't to do more, it's to do less, better. Step 2. Working smarter, not harder. There's a myth that success only comes from hard work. And while effort matters, it's smart effort that truly separates winners from the worn out. Here's how to shift into working smarter. Batch and block. Group similar tasks together like emails, meetings, creative work, and handle them in focused time blocks. This minimizes mental switching and boosts efficiency. Systematize repetition. Anything you do more than twice, build a process. Templates, checklists, standard operating procedures. These aren't just for businesses, they're for anyone who values time. Use the rule of 3, pick 3 high-impact tasks per day. If everything's a priority, nothing is. Focus creates leverage. Ask better questions. Instead of, how can I get this done? Ask, how can this get done without me? How can this get done faster? What would make this unnecessary? Strategic questions create smarter paths. Step 3. Leveraging relationships. One of the most powerful but underused forms of leverage, other people. If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. Isaac Newton. You don't have to know everything. You just have to know someone who does. Here's how to build relationship leverage the right way. Be a giver first. Help others solve problems. Offer value before asking for it. This builds trust, and trust is leverage. Map your network. Who do you know? What are they great at? Where are the gaps you can fill, or where can they fill yours? Make a personal strategic relationship map. You'll be surprised how connected you already are. Collaborate, don't compete. Find people with complementary strengths. Partner on projects. Co-create. 1 + 1 can equal 5 when the synergy is right. Leverage mentors and allies. A 30-minute conversation with the right mentor can save you 3 years of trial and error. Don't be afraid to reach out, ask questions, and listen deeply. People are not just contacts. They are catalysts. Step 4. Leveraging technology and tools. We live in an era where technology is leveraged on tap. Yet many people still use their smartphones to scroll instead of solve. Here's how to turn tools into time savers, not time wasters. Automate repetitive tasks. Use tools like Calendly for scheduling, Zapier for workflow automation, AI tools for writing, summarizing, or research. Every minute you automate is a minute you reclaim. Use AI as an amplifier, not a replacement. Smart strategists don't fear technology. They use it to think faster, research deeper, and execute cleanly. Ask yourself, what can AI help me start, speed up, or simplify? Build or use systems, create dashboards, spreadsheets, templates, or databases that organize your work and free your brain for higher-level thinking. Invest once, benefit often. Buy the right gear, software, or setup once, and let it serve you for years. One-time investments often produce long-term leverage. Remember, every tool is either a lever or a distraction. Choose wisely. Step 5. Leveraging resources strategically. Resources aren't just money. They're time, energy, knowledge, people, and positioning. Strategic thinkers ask, what do I already have that I'm not using? What resource do I need that could change everything? How can I turn what I lack into a creative advantage? Some ways to use resources better. Repurpose old work into new value. Turn blog posts into a book, videos into courses. Barter skills instead of buying services. Find underutilized assets, space, tools, people, and reframe their use. Leverage is rarely about more. It's about better. Final mindset shift. Leverage is not laziness. Some people confuse leverage with laziness. They say that's a shortcut or real success takes sweat. Here's the truth. Leverage isn't about escaping work. It's about designing your effort so every ounce matters. It's the difference between digging with a spoon and digging with an excavator. It's not cheating. It's thinking. And the moment you realize that, you unlock a new level of possibility. Final thoughts. Build a life that compounds. The most powerful use of leverage. Creating things that compound. That means building relationships that grow over time. Creating content or assets that work while you sleep. Designing habits and systems that improve with each use. Leverage isn't just about today's effort. It's about setting up wins that stack tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. Give me a lever long enough and a place to stand, and I will move the world. Archimedes, you have the lever. You're finding the place to stand. And now you're ready to move mountains with less force, more finesse, and strategic power that multiplies. Chapter 8. Adapting on the fly. Strategic agility in action. Life rarely goes according to plan. Your strategy might be solid. Your goals might be clear. You may have prepared for everything you thought could happen. Then the world shifts. A curveball comes your way. The rules change. The market flips. The relationship cracks. The unexpected arrives. And it doesn't knock first. This is where many people freeze, panic, or quit. But not the strategic thinker. You see, there's a secret that every master strategist knows. The plan matters, but the ability to pivot matters more. Adaptability isn't weakness. It's intelligence in motion. In this chapter, we'll explore how to pivot without panic, how to make fast, effective decisions under pressure, how to stay flexible without losing focus. In short, you'll learn how to bend without breaking. Let's dive in. The power of strategic agility. In today's world, agility is one of the most underappreciated forms of power. It's not enough to be smart. You need to be smart in motion. Strategic agility means this: you can respond to change with clarity, make quick but thoughtful decisions, and realign your actions without abandoning your long-term vision. It's what Navy SEALs call calm is contagious. It's what entrepreneurs call pivoting. It's what athletes call flow. It's the ability to adapt on the fly without losing control. This isn't guesswork, it's a skill, and like any skill, you can train it. Let's begin with the most important shift of all. Part 1. How to pivot without panic. Panic comes from surprise, from thinking you had control and suddenly realizing you don't. But here's the first rule of strategic agility. Expect the unexpected. Change, disruption, failure, delays. None of these are anomalies. They are inevitable. The real question is not, will something go wrong? It's, how ready am I to respond when it does? Here's how to pivot without losing your cool. Slow down before you speed up. When everything feels urgent, the worst thing you can do is react on impulse. Take a breath. Create space. Ask, what's happening? What's the new reality? What matters most now? Reassess the landscape. Strategists don't cling to what was. They update their mental map in real time. Ask, what's changed? What's still true? What assumptions need adjusting? Define the new objective. What was your original goal? Now ask, is that still possible? Is there a better outcome available now? What's the next best move? Pivoting isn't about giving up. It's about recalculating. Just like GPS, recalculating your route doesn't mean you failed. It means you're still going, but with better data. Part 2. Real-time decision-making. You don't always get time to research, plan, and prepare. Sometimes you need to make decisions right now. So how do strategic thinkers make fast, effective decisions without freezing? They follow a few core principles. Use the OODA loop. Originally developed by military strategist John Boyd, the OODA loop is a powerful framework for quick thinking. Observe. What are the facts right now? Orient. What do they mean in your context? Decide. What's the best option available? Act. Move swiftly and prepare to repeat the cycle. The loop repeats constantly. It's fluid. It keeps you sharp, adaptable, and always one step ahead. Define your decision filters. When the pressure is on, you don't want to invent criteria. Predefine your filters. Does this move align with my values? Does it protect or progress my long-term vision? Does it avoid irreversible damage? These questions help you cut through the noise and act with clarity. Trust your trained instinct. Strategic agility is a mix of analysis and intuition. The more you've trained your thinking through reading, reflection, and pattern recognition, the more your instincts become educated guesses, not random reactions. Don't ignore your gut. Just make sure it's a gut informed by experience. Part 3. Staying flexible while staying focused. This is where most people struggle. They either stay too rigid, refusing to change course, or become too scattered, constantly shifting focus. The art is to be fluid in approach but fixed in purpose. Here's how to strike that balance. Hold your vision. Loosen the plan. Your why shouldn't change every week, but your how should. Say your goal is to grow your business, launch a book, or transform your health. That vision stays, but the route may need constant tweaks. Ask, what hill am I climbing? What path gets me there now that the terrain has changed? Flexibility isn't about losing sight of the goal. It's about finding a better road when the old one crumbles. Use feedback, not fear. Fear makes you retreat. Feedback makes you refine. Everything is feedback. A failed launch, a missed opportunity, a surprise twist. Ask, what is this teaching me? What can I improve? What did I learn about myself? The strategic mind doesn't fear feedback. It feeds on it. Maintain rituals in chaos. When things feel uncertain, routines become anchors. Whether it's your morning habit, journaling practice, weekly review, or mindset reset, Keep your rituals steady. They're your compass in the storm. Consistency in your behavior creates clarity in your thinking. Real-world strategic agility in action. Let's look at a few examples of strategic agility in the real world. Case 1. Netflix. Netflix started by mailing DVDs. Then the internet got faster and they pivoted to streaming. They didn't cling to the old model. They adapted ahead of the curve. Later, they started producing original content. That move put them in direct competition with Hollywood and positioned them as a leader. They evolved again and again, and their strategic agility built an empire. Case 2. A freelancer in crisis. When the pandemic hit, a freelance event photographer lost all bookings. Instead of panicking, she asked, "Where is demand growing?" She pivoted to product photography for e-commerce brands, then built a remote setup. Within 6 months, she was earning more than before. She didn't wait for conditions to improve, she adapted with speed and clarity. That's strategic agility in action. Final thoughts. The future belongs to the flexible. The world is changing faster than ever. Industries, tools, opportunities, everything is moving. Rigid minds break. Reactive minds panic. But strategic minds? They pivot, adjust, and evolve. The bamboo bends in the storm but doesn't break. If you want to outsmart challenges in the real world, you don't need perfect plans. You need a flexible strategy rooted in a clear vision, grounded values, and a calm thinking mind. Adaptation is not a backup plan, it's your greatest edge. Chapter 9. Psychological Warfare. Outsmarting through Influence. In the chess game of life and leadership, brute force is rarely the winning move. True power lies in influence, the subtle art of guiding others' thoughts, feelings, and actions without them realizing it. This is psychological warfare. Not the war of violence, but the battle of minds. It's about understanding what drives people, how they decide, and how you can ethically shape those decisions. Today we'll explore the fundamentals of human behavior and motivation, how to communicate strategically and persuade effectively, and why ethics matter when wielding influence. Let's unlock the invisible forces that make strategic thinkers unbeatable. Part 1. Understanding human behavior and motivation. Before you can influence others, you must understand what moves them. At the heart of every decision is a web of emotions, needs, and beliefs. Here's what every strategic thinker needs to know about human motivation. People are predictably irrational. While humans like to think of themselves as logical, most decisions are influenced by emotion, habit, and bias. Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel-winning psychologist, taught us that our brains use shortcuts called heuristics that sometimes lead to irrational choices. As a strategist, understanding these predictable quirks helps you anticipate responses and guide outcomes. The 3 core human needs. Psychologists often highlight 3 universal needs driving behavior. Autonomy, the desire to feel in control of one's actions. Belonging, the need to connect and feel accepted. Competence, the urge to feel capable and effective. When your strategy taps into these needs, whether in negotiation, leadership, or persuasion, you activate powerful motivators. The power of storytelling. Humans are wired for stories. Facts and figures persuade the mind, but stories move the heart. Stories create empathy, simplify complexity, and anchor ideas in memory. Great strategists use storytelling as a bridge, turning dry logic into compelling influence. Part 2. Strategic communication and persuasion. Knowing what moves people is just the start. Next, you must master how to communicate your ideas so they resonate and inspire action. Here's how to do it strategically. The art of listening. Persuasion starts with listening. Before you influence, you must understand. What are their fears? What do they value? What objections do they hold? Active listening shows respect and reveals the keys to unlock resistance. Speak their language. Effective communicators adapt their message to the audience's worldview. Use words and frames that connect with their values and priorities. For example, A logical thinker responds to data and analysis. An emotional thinker responds to feelings and vision. Adjust your language to meet them where they are. The principle of reciprocity, people feel compelled to return favors and kindness. This ancient social rule can be a powerful lever in influence. Give first, a compliment, helpful information, or a small gift. It creates goodwill and a subtle obligation. But remember, authenticity is key. Manipulation backfires. Framing and anchoring. How you present information shapes decisions. Framing, emphasizing certain aspects of a choice. Anchoring, using a reference point to influence perception. Example, presenting a price as only $10 a day feels more affordable than $300 per month. Great strategists carefully frame offers and arguments for maximum impact. Part 3. The ethical side of influence. With great power comes great responsibility. Influence is a tool. Like any tool, it can build or destroy. Ethical influence means respecting autonomy and freedom of choice, avoiding manipulation, coercion, or deception, seeking win-win outcomes rather than exploitation. When you lead with integrity, your influence builds trust, the foundation of lasting power. Practical tips for ethical influence. Be transparent. Share your intentions honestly. Listen more than you speak. Truly understand needs and concerns. Aim for mutual benefit. Influence that harms others backfires in the long run. Respect boundaries. Know when to push and when to pull back. Ethical influence is not weakness. It's a strategic strength. Real-world examples of psychological strategy. Nelson Mandela's influence. Mandela's power wasn't in force. It was in his ability to inspire reconciliation. He understood the fears and hopes of both sides in apartheid South Africa. By listening, communicating vision, and fostering empathy, he shifted a nation's mindset. Steve Jobs and storytelling. Jobs didn't just sell products, he sold dreams. His presentations told stories that connected with customers' identities and aspirations, making Apple an icon. Final thoughts. The invisible edge. The most powerful battles aren't fought with weapons, they're fought in the mind. When you master psychological warfare through influence, you unlock an invisible edge over challenges and competitors. Remember, understand what drives people, communicate with clarity and empathy, influence ethically and with respect. This is the art of strategic thinking at its finest. Chapter 10. Strategic Execution, From Vision to Victory. The reality check. Where dreams meet action, vision without execution remains merely aspiration. You may possess brilliant strategic insights, adaptability, and leadership skills, but these mean nothing without consistent implementation. Execution represents the critical bridge connecting your concepts to concrete outcomes. Most people falter at this juncture. They craft exceptional plans, yet struggle with sustained action, lose steam along the way, or become paralyzed by operational complexities. This chapter addresses how to transform strategic thinking into measurable results through deliberate habits, robust systems, and continuous feedback mechanisms. Part 1. Converting plans into action. The execution imperative, outstanding strategy without implementation equals wishful thinking. The fundamental distinction between achievers and dreamers lies in follow-through. Achievers deliver on their commitments while dreamers remain trapped in perpetual planning cycles. Breaking down complexity. Chunking strategy. Transform overwhelming visions into specific, manageable components. Rather than pursuing vague objectives like expand my business, commit to concrete actions. Contact 5 prospective clients today. Complete 1 blog post this week. Launch a targeted social media campaign next month. Each small action serves as a foundational element. Over time, these elements accumulate into significant achievements. Creating urgency and accountability deadline power. Establish firm deadlines to generate momentum. Without time constraints, tasks drift indefinitely. Accountability systems. Share your objectives with mentors, colleagues, or friends. Utilize tracking applications and calendar systems to monitor advancement. Reward yourself for reaching milestones. External accountability transforms good intentions into concrete actions. Removing execution barriers. Obstacle identification. Recognize what prevents action: fear, perfectionism, unclear direction, or environmental disruptions. Friction. Reduction. Design your workspace and schedule to minimize resistance. Clear pathways enable sustained momentum. Part 2. Building strategic habits and systems. Effective execution transcends willpower bursts. It requires dependable daily practices and systematic approaches. Developing keystone habits. Keystone habits are fundamental practices that create positive cascading effects. Morning routines that establish a mental framework. Daily priority reviews. Reflective journaling to capture insights and lessons. Identify and cultivate habits that directly support your strategic objectives. Systematic approaches. Create structured workflows and routines designed for consistent results. Weekly strategic planning sessions. Systematic customer follow-up processes. Monthly performance evaluations. Systems eliminate decision fatigue and maintain focused effort over time. Part 3. Measurement and continuous improvement tracking. Critical metrics. Focus on essential progress indicators. Revenue and lead generation. Time invested in high-value activities. Client satisfaction levels. Personal energy and well-being. Regular metric review provides actionable intelligence for course corrections. Reflection and adaptation. Schedule dedicated reflection periods weekly or monthly. Key questions include: what strategies proved effective? What approaches fell short? How can I enhance performance? Use these insights to refine both strategy and execution methods. Learning from outcomes. Celebrate progress. Acknowledge milestones regardless of size. Recognition fuels continued motivation. Extract lessons. View setbacks as learning opportunities rather than failures. Each experience sharpens your strategic capabilities. Real-world example: systematic excellence. Consider how successful leaders approach execution. They break massive objectives into micro-tasks, schedule activities in precise time blocks, and continuously monitor progress. This relentless focus on implementation, combined with strategic vision, drives breakthrough results. From strategy to success. Strategy without execution resembles a map without a journey. Implementation transforms mental frameworks into tangible impact. By decomposing goals, establishing systematic habits, and measuring progress consistently, you convert intention into unstoppable momentum. Remember, plans become powerful only through consistent action. Your greatest asset is your capacity to execute, not merely conceptualize or strategize. Conclusion: mastering strategic living, your complete strategic arsenal. You now possess comprehensive tools for overcoming any challenge. Strategic mindset prioritizing thoughtful analysis over reactive responses. Crystal clear goal definition and prioritization. Sophisticated information gathering and application skills. Big picture thinking with obstacle anticipation. Mastery of timing, leverage, and adaptability. Ethical influence and leadership capabilities. Disciplined execution with continuous reflection. This represents the art of strategic thinking. Practice these skills consistently and watch challenges transform into opportunities. Living as a strategic thinker, embedding strategy in daily life. Strategic thinking should become your default operating mode, not an occasional tool. Every decision, conversation, and action presents an opportunity for strategic advantage. Develop the habit of asking, how does this choice advance my long-term objectives? What's the broader context here? What can I learn and improve from this situation? Developing unshakable resilience. Life inevitably presents obstacles, some surprising, some confidence-shaking. Master tacticians remain composed under pressure. They don't panic or freeze. They assess, adapt, and advance with purpose. Challenges become training opportunities. Failures become valuable feedback. Your strategic edge transforms uncertainty into competitive advantage. Final encouragement. Every expert began as a novice. Every strategic thinker started with curiosity and a commitment to learning. Continue developing your mindset, practicing your skills, and most importantly, taking consistent action. The greatest victory isn't outsmarting others, it's transcending your limitations. You possess both the power and the tools. Now live strategically and achieve daily victories. Your journey to unstoppable success begins now.